Successful cultivation in the greenhouse. That's something a lot of people need. And look at that picture of a beautiful greenhouse behind you, Mr. Andy Lopez, our invisible gardener, and he's invisible again. There
nothing to eat there. There's nothing to eat there. I just noticed that. What do you eat in this greenhouse, man? It's like this is exactly what you
pear.
This is exactly what you should not be doing with a greenhouse. I mean, a greenhouse, it should be like tomatoes and vegetables and right, all that stuff should be going. You can grow year round in a greenhouse. Anyway, hi everybody. So those of you that have been following me, I have a little surprise for you today. Because I've been trying to do this for a long time. I haven't even told.
What? What? I didn't hear you, Andy. What'd you say?
I didn't say anything. I said nothing. I said I'm gonna do this. Let's just do this right away, so then we go out to the greenhouse thing. Because I'm trying to figure it out. Let me see. Okay, so here's the window. Okay, there's my window. I'm gonna bring this one up. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Okay. So can you see this, or is this a different window?
I'm seeing a small one on the right-hand side, Andy.
So it's not showing this particular one. So I have to.
It's showing me your screen and a PDF.
Okay, yeah. Just hang on a second, because I think it's a different screen now. Let me just open up this one now and see what happens. Yeah. Okay, there it is. See, I'm learning. How's that?
Perfect organic blend.
Yeah, so this is what I was telling you guys before. This is a PDF file that was given to me. I can't say it by my master, but he's one of the leaders in this field. At that time, was talking about bricks and how to use a refractometer. And he gave this to me. He says, please give this away anytime you want to share the information. There's a bunch of stuff in the back, how you can contact him. He tells you about some of the refractometers that he's using. But I thought I would go show you this real fast because it's really an amazing piece of work. And by the way, anybody can get this free from me. And I haven't quite figured out the way yet how to do it. But the easiest way would be to email me. See, the problem with email, I was telling Ken, I got 39,000 emails yesterday, okay? 39,842 emails came to Andy Lopez at invisiblegardener.com. Okay, that's ridiculous, okay? That's like, what is going on? And 99% of them are junk, right? Yeah. They're all like penis enlargement things. Hey, what is, it's like really.
You don't need any help, Andy.
It's weird. It's so weird. And then, anyway, so I'm happy to pass. This was 1994, okay, by Rex Harris, okay? And I'm happy to pass this on to you guys because this is like once you get this book, the refractometer will it's so much. Remember I told you about poor, average, good, and excellent. There's a page that explains it to you. So this is a great book to learn how to use a refractometer with.
Cool.
Explains how to use it. See, it's really, really cool, really easy. But there's a really, and it has a lot of information about it here, which I'm not going to go over with it. But what I do want to show you, one of the best parts about this book, right? The best part, and by the way, Harry Reams is the guy I was talking about that I met him a long time ago, and he's really into soft rock phosphate. See, soft rock phosphate. Yeah. And that's amazing. It's an amazing rock dust. And it's very important for plants, and we can go over that sometime, anytime you want to. But let me show you this. So this is the best part of this ebook here is that because for example, under vegetables, they have the poor, average, and good and excellent. See, right, rating, and then it tells you what the bricks level should be, like for an asparagus, for example. See,
right.
So asparagus. Poor would be 2, average should be 4, good. This is the measuring the bricks level. That line with the black and the white meat, that's the bricks level. Okay, it's excellent. 8 is excellent. So they cover vegetables, and you have to understand that this is like you can have 100 people do this. They're going to get slightly different readings. Yeah, and it makes I beg your pardon. You talk doggy. Hey, Ken, I didn't know you'd say something. Oh, hi, everyone.
It's because the cat is just coming down. As you can see, the tail wagging in front of my face here.
I thought that was your beer, man. And it also covers one of the good things about this. It also covers fruits. So you have apples. If you remember, I was talking about somebody who had. Let's see if I can find. I'm looking for a lemon. There is a lemon, right? So here's a reading for lemons. 4 is poor, 6 is average, 8 is good, 12 is excellent. Well, my excellent is really in the 20s, 23.
Okay.
So so again, these are slightly different. And also, when he did these, it's something that people will find out later. Where you live in the world, what time of the year you do it will affect your readings as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, so that's one of the things you have to learn about these readings. But the chart is excellent. It covers, and it has more of them. It covers bananas and mangoes, and the level. See where it says disease free. Somebody had asked, at what level would they be disease free? So an apple, if they're at a Brix level 16, they would be disease free.
Sweet.
Right? See, cool. And he didn't put it in here because he didn't quite, know what to say about broccoli. What level would the broccoli be disease free? But my experience would be is that if you're in the excellent level, you're never totally 100% disease free because there's other conditions can happen. For example, the diseases can be spread by other plants next to you.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have more than one asparagus, one more, like we have several different apple trees, some of them could be weaker than the other ones. They're all not going to be identical Brix readings, right? So if you have, like for example, corn, you can test one corn for Brix, the year of corn for Brix, and then the one right next to it, not even a foot away, you can test, and it will have a entirely different Brix reading. You go, what the heck happened there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they're all going to be a little different. You can't say this is the same for all of them. They're all like human beings. They all have a slightly different thing going on with them, whether or not, there's something genetically wrong with them, or the condition of the soil that they're in is wrong, or there's just maybe they got damaged somehow. There are lots of different things. If you want this book, Happiness Runs in a Circular Motion. We freestyle life, man. Yes, man. I think this guy sounds very Rasta-like. Smash the like button. Are you a Rasta dude? That's like me freestyle life, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Man. So if you want this, all you have to do, and this is not, it's not so hard to do. I mean, it's just a few things. You go up to the website, you do the inquiry form. In the inquiry form, see, I made this inquiry form special because it goes from my website to me. And it bypasses all the junk email, goes right into a box. Seriously, it goes right into a box.
Yeah.
And I know that this is a real person. So all you have to do is say hi. And the inquiry form, you fill out your name and stuff, and you hit the return button, and it goes right back to me. But in there, you say, "Here's my email. Email me this PDF form." I saw it on, and you should say whether it be in it's the biology, or where you see it on my podcast, or where you see it be resubmitted. Because my shows, I don't know about you, Ken, but I also send it to iHeart, I send it to iTunes, I send it to 30 or 40 other places as well. iTunes is up there it's on the Spotify, for example. The podcast is there. So you just have to say where you heard it from, which is kind of cool. I just came up with this. I just heard you on Spotify or heard you on YouTube, and say it's the biology, or whether it's my show. OMG, Wanda Jeans. What is that, man? What is going on with the Wanda Jeans? Wanda Jeans.
Oh my God, Wanda Jean's garden, and she's saying hello to us, Andy.
Oh, cool. I haven't heard of you before, lady. Is this a lady? Anyway, so that's what you do. That's the easiest way you're going to get this file, and it's amazing. You can see all the stuff it has in here, and you once you learn and you can start your own. What I would do is I would basically start my own chart. Let me show you one more thing that I want to show you. I'm going to say stop sharing. I'm going to do one more. Actually, I got a couple of them.
And
I really enjoy
Jean is
doing.
not a lady.
No, man. No, yes, man. Okay, no
Okay.
problem, man. No problem, man. No, yes, man. Okay. So let me see if I do this right because I may not
Okay.
be able to do it right. Okay, so the problem is if I open this up, I think it goes to a different screen, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now in the back end, Andy, I'm seeing your screen with your PDF in 4 files.
Right, right. So do you see this? It didn't come up. It didn't bring up a new window, did it? You only see
No.
the 4 files. Right. Okay. No problem. So these two things here are the same thing. This was a particular one that I did for roses. I did one. I like doing these charts myself. I think they're really cool.
Well, you
Right.
got bricks and pests we can see.
Right. Right. Bricks and pests. Right. So I did that one in terms of relating the bricks level to the percentage of pest free the plant would be. So the higher,
Okay.
so I basically made it real simple. It doesn't make any difference the plant or the fruit or whatever. If your bricks is in the 20s, then you're going to have 99% less pests. 18 to 20, 75%. So this is what I rigged up myself. Okay. So if you're down to 0 to 8, you know you're going to have the percentage pest free. This is pest free. So 99% pest free as opposed to 0% pest free would basically mean forget it.
You're
Right?
going to be in trouble.
Your plant's dying there, right? But I'm serious, and this is an open-end offer because I know that 10 years from now, when I'm 85, somebody's going to, dear Mr. Lopez, I just saw your YouTube video, and you said you will send me this free PDF file. Here's my email, and I would go, oh, cool. This is very possible. So this is not something that I think I could do like forever. I just thought about this. As a matter of fact, never mind. Don't
Andy, we can actually figure out how to put this on as a PDF on your website.
Yeah.
So people can just go there and download it themselves instead of having to directly contact you. I think that would be the better option.
That's a great idea. I'm going to ask my webmaster how do I do that.
Yeah.
Because I could post it on the blog, say, here's the PDF file. Just click on the damn thing, open it up. There you go.
Exactly.
So I should be able to store that up there. So for now, that's just I've told you that. Go ahead and send me email. You don't send me go to the website. If you send me email, I won't get it. I simply will not get it. I think I might be changing. Well, this would be my second time I had to change my email because the first time I would get like 50,000 emails, and my name was Andy at invisiblegardener.com was being sold on the black market. And I don't know why, but people, and I still get junk emails from those guys. It's ridiculous. Anyway, if you do that, go to the inquiry form. Actually, if you get the newsletter, that's also another way. I might be able to attach it to the newsletter. You click on it and get it.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out a way for you to get that file. For now, the easiest way is go to the inquiry form, say, I want the damn file, send it to me now. I'm not going to wait, and I'll email you and return back.
I want the file, Andy. Give me the file.
So let's go on with the greenhouse. By the way, this greenhouse, right? It's not what I would do in my greenhouse. I would starve to death and I could not eat it. The reason why you want a greenhouse is what you want to grow food year round. You want to be able to grow your own food. Nowadays, what's going on, it's better to grow your own food anytime, any day, anytime. I was talking to somebody just today. You say, well, what is it you're eating? You're 75. I said, well, I go out to the garden. In the past, I always had a garden. And so I ate 85%, I believe in 85% raw food. The rest of it is cooked one way or the other, whether it's meat, whether it's, vegetables, whatever other things I would cook. 85%. That means I would go to the garden and munch. And that would be, and I admit that's the main thing. I realized talking to you, I use the terminology that, I've been going into the garden and getting the biology into my body. Duh. That's the main thing I've been missing. That's why my stomach is really upset because I don't have when you buy stuff in the store, you don't get any biology, right? You don't get anything so sterilized and clean and washed a billion times. Yeah. So just today I was picking a leaf and I look underneath, a little bit of dirt, soil is on there. Yeah, oh yeah, right.
Think all that good biology.
You know what I mean? And I feel much better. And because I hate going to the store and buying like a little tiny bag of lettuce. You have to eat the whole thing because if you leave it for a few days, they rot.
Oh, it's already moldy and
that one. I missed that. What did you say? I can't read that fast. What was the last one?
Silly Lily says, I want a greenhouse. I'd be growing year round for sure.
Yeah. When I lived in Boulder, Colorado,
right.
You see, I'm a very tricky, sneaky guy. So what I did was
you never stayed up there in the winter time. Is the tricky, sneaky guy?
Oh,
and
no,
Mo here is from Jamaica, by the way.
Oh yeah,
man. Thank you very much, Mo.
I knew that. I figured that. Yeah, that's why I was just saying yes, man. Yeah, that's fine. The first time I was there in Boulder, I went to the University of Colorado. Also, I went to Naropa.
Okay.
And I was renting a house with a heated pool. So I said, "Oh, heated pool, greenhouse would be very good here." So literally, it had screen in. It was screen in like that with a heated pool. So I just covered it with clear plastic so that the heated pool would generate its own little heat in there. I even had a couple of different heat lights, and I had my vegetables in there. It was my vegetable garden. And then I started to I figured out what I wanted to do. I never got to do it, and I still think I might do it. I would have done it if I had lived there. So what I wanted to do was the house that I was living in. If it was mine, I would actually build a. Well, first of all, I would make the heat. The way that the heat is really so cool. The way I figured this out is basically it's very simple. You add copper pipes. You run through the house. You run it through the ceiling. Maybe you go up and down a little bit. You go down into the ground, and you circulate it in the floors. So you don't have to do anything but fill it up with water, seal it up, cover the floor down and the ceiling. When it gets hot, it'll circulate. And when it gets cold, it'll naturally circulate the water and heat up. So I did that. I wanted to do that with a greenhouse because that's the perfect way to heat your greenhouse. The best. So one of the tips I give to people is put your greenhouse next to your house.
Mm-hmm.
Use the house as a way to heat your greenhouse. So you want to have the greenhouse at a certain temperature. You also want to place your greenhouse in the place where you get at least 8 hours. That's right.
Yeah. It's a thermal siphon.
Right. It will just suck in the heat, circulate the greenhouse, and you have and the pool was great because they always had a lot of moisture and humidity. And the whole thing was cool. It has light, so that I had tomatoes growing extended for a long time. And those days I wasn't growing in the you know what, but I would have done that too if it was possible to do it.
Yeah.
I did a greenhouse in Florida, which is very different in the sense that you don't have to worry about temperature because normally if you live in a cold environment, you want to heat up your greenhouse. So do it in a very non-destructive way. It's real simple. Just have the water circulate through your house, through your roof and on the floor. You'll find you always stay at a really cool temperature year round. You don't have to be heating it up or cooling it off. And your greenhouse, of course, should be part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the greenhouse could be in at least 8 hours, 12 hours would be ideal of sunlight. You want to get at least that much direct sunlight. You don't want it in the shade. And you also want to put it in a place where maybe a lot of times you have to look to see how the winds blow, whether it's not you may want it in the opposite side of the house, so let the house be the wind barrier rather than and lots of other things determine where your greenhouse is going to be. But the trick is that you can grow not only year round, but you can go 24/7 if you really wanted to. If you really wanted to, with LED lights now you can set it up with LED lights, so you have lights even at night. Because you don't have to turn it off. You can have a timer. You can have it on and off if you want to, or you can follow the normal natural cycles of growing. With me, when I had a greenhouse, I ignored Mother Nature and I started to just do it in whatever cycle I wanted to do. Well, what do you say there? You take it out.
Use solar gain or geothermal for heating / cooling. We do a lot of that kind of thing up here in Canada, Andy, where we have a greenhouse attached to the side of the house, and you have a 3 to 4 season greenhouse, and you're facing it in such a way so you're getting that solar gain during the day, and it's actually helping to heat your house. So it's kind of a catch 22. There's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of wonderful videos and content out of creating these greenhouses where they basically heat themselves, whether it's through deep geothermal,
Right.
whether through an air system geothermal. There's a lot of ways that, especially in northern climates, that people are playing with. And I've seen lemons, I've seen banana trees in Saskatchewan growing in -42 weather, and these banana trees are flourishing inside in
Yeah.
northern Canada.
Lots of ways to be creative with the actual
Yeah.
structure. And if you're growing organically, you're much better off that way rather than doing the chemical route. So
Oh yeah.
what you basically do, you have your own biology going on inside the greenhouse. So it depends on how you do it, whether it be raised beds or containers. You key into the health of the soil, regardless if it's in the ground or in the greenhouse. Especially in the greenhouse, you're limited to how much soil is there. So you want to have a constant something good going on for the soil. You'll find that then the only thing you need to do is to concentrate on the water, the clean water aspect of it in terms of getting. And one of the things you could put here in the description is that, did you ever contact that water filter company to get their affiliation?
No, you never sent me the link to them, Andy.
Oh, I think well, that's my link. You can put my link. I will get the money, but you should call them up and say, I would like to be affiliate for your company, and you should put your link in there. Darn it! See what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but I'm not even sure which company, Andy, because you haven't sent me that information yet.
I will text it to you, and so you can know the name of the company. Because this is a really cool company that sells the filtration system very, very inexpensively. It's $1,900 as opposed to $10,000. That's a whole property filtration system.
That's pretty damn cheap when you think about it.
Yeah, and so in a greenhouse environment or even outside, you definitely want to control the quality of the water that's coming into your plants. That makes a big difference. They're already restricted already being inside an environment like that. So you definitely have to. And I would also have a fertigation unit attached to that, because that is so much easier having a fertigation unit when you have a greenhouse, because you're only fertilizing the greenhouse. You don't have to do a giant garden. And the fertigation is exactly that. It's normally made for fertilizers, or it's for fertilizers and irrigation. See, but us organic people, we know how to do organics with that device. It's called a fertigation unit.
Yeah.
The one I recommend, and I'm probably going to have to talk to them about doing the same affiliations thing. It's called Easy Flow. Easy Flow makes it really easy to use, and it's very simple to use. And you can make your own liquids that go in there, which then go out to the water and increases the biology on a regular basis. And because the water inside the fertigation unit is not stagnant, water is constantly going through and coming out. It may be maybe when the system is off, but when you turn it on, it circulates. Rather than normally, if you put biology in a container, it eventually will blow up on you because there's so much pressure from inside. Recirculating water for right. Recirculating water for pond peach.
Now, I do have a question, Andy. Are you finding in your fertigation, because you're using organics, that you're getting biofilm and you have to clean things once in a while, or have you considered that already?
Right. So what I learned to do with that is there are lots of different things you can run through your system that will naturally keep it clean. And so you're going to have to figure out. They will clog on you, especially because it's a tiny little fertigation unit, for example, has a tiny little opening in there that if it sits for too long, it'll clog itself. And so what I do is I modify when you buy it, the fertigation unit, they're usually at 1,000 to 1 ratio.
Okay.
So what I do is I get a small drill just a little bit bigger than the size of the hole it's area, and drill the hole out a little bigger. So it
Okay.
reduces it to 100 to 1. But what it means also that too is a lot easier to keep clean because it's not a tiny little hole that gets clogged up. It's a lot bigger one. But even then, you still need to run something through it. And I find that vinegar works really good in terms of the diluted ratio to clean up.
Now, are we talking apple cider vinegar with, you know, a biological, or just white vinegar, which is actually a petroleum product?
Right. So the apple cider one is the ideal one to use.
Okay.
And it won't. But the issue is really is how you have it set up, and if you whether or not it's going to a drip system or a sprinkler system. So all those things you have to look and see because you can't really water your plants with vinegar. But if you add a little bit of it on a regular basis, it will do the job as well, cleaning through. But the bottom line is you probably will have to change if you do drips. You may have to change your drip heads, especially if they're like little misting things that twirl around.
Yeah.
I notice quite often that I get this green, what is it? Green.
Biofilm.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Grow there all the time. And it's like, it starts talking to you. You go, well, I guess I better clean that.
Yeah, and that's something like I know we've got Super Nessa on tonight, and because he's doing deep water culture, he's actually changing his reservoir and cleaning on a regular basis so that he doesn't have that biofilm buildup and doesn't have a problem with the materials coming through. Now, using organic, especially with you're using teas, opening up that orifice on the emitter is definitely the right thing. Or if you can buy an emitter that has a larger orifice than just the 1 to 100.
Right. With this fertigation unit, they're all made for fertilizers, and so they have
Okay.
they're very tiny. You know, they're not meant for biology, but you could modify and it's meant to handle pressure too. But they also have a non-pressurized one, which allows you to increase it even more because there's no pressure involved. It's usually meant to go in the water hose spigot.
Yeah.
But if you happen to have it hooked, so you don't need to hook it in. You can actually hook it into the spigot and use it as a supplement, and you hook it up to your hose and water that way. So that's one way that's one way you could do that, and then it bypasses the problem of going through your little drip lines and stuff like that. You should set it up separately, and you water with that. You know, you have your drip line go out, but you actually what you're doing is fertilizing the biology through it. So that's what I would do with my setup. Have the cleanest water that can go through there with the filter and everything. Yeah. Even if you get this filtration system, you're still going to have to clean the system out because it will tend to many things will go in there. Right.
Yeah. So Ghetto Hippie has a question: is acidic acid good for plants in small amounts?
Yes, you have to learn what a small amount is because remember for me, remember the law of the little bit. So you want to do a little bit on a regular basis rather than a lot. Usually, a good rule of thumb is a tablespoon per gallon is just fine. Okay, tablespoon per gallon is just fine. And what it does is that it reduces the pH down of the water. You want the water to be slightly acid. It's not so much for us humans, which we want slightly alkaline, but you do want the water to be slightly acid. You'll get better activity in the microbial life than if they were alkaline.
Yeah. So, you know, he's talking basically about the fertigation lines and maybe 10% peroxide water solution. I don't know if you want that hitting your plants either.
No, so the peroxides are good for cleaning and stuff. So what I would do there is we take this whether it be a mister or the drip, take them off, and you soak them and clean them that way. You can rotate. You know, some of them you take off and then you replace it with some that are clean. You do have to do that because all your system will eventually get clogged up unless you're cleaning and or replacing them.
Yeah. And Super Nessa is planting by the phases of the moon. He's waiting for the full moon. Then the fun begins. He's going to be popping some new seeds. He was talking about the different strains that he has available to him right now. He's trying to pick the one that he wants to go with.
I think it's so cool that you guys know how to do that. My favorite book is the Old Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah.
I've always used that in terms of deciding when to plant and when to, what crops, low crops or above ground crops to plant. It's very, very interesting. And again, you learn. But after a while, you don't really need the Old Farmer's Almanac. You just pay attention to nature.
Yeah.
That's
Now, the next question is from Corey, and it's back to flushing your lines. Can they be flushed with labs or lactic acid bacteria? I don't really know that would actually work, but I've never tried it. I don't know, Andy, do you?
I think you may end up having more of a problem.
Make it worse. Yeah. Okay, so don't do that one. or do it and then tell us if it worked or not.
That would be what I would do. So in terms of, there are a few other things. So you always want to, if you have a greenhouse, you want to make sure you're making compost. Buying compost is not the way to go.
Yeah.
You want to be able to circulate all the biology you have right back into your soil. You want to be able to have it's essential to get your own little worm farm going right in the greenhouse. Very essential. Yeah. You have a constant source of liquid biology that you can start incorporating back into your greenhouse. You want it more so than in the garden. In the garden, you really do need it, but because it's hopefully in the soil, hopefully you have some in the ground. Hopefully you have a nice big giant raised bed. But in the greenhouse, you really have to pay attention to because the biology will naturally die off in there. They will. If you leave them alone, there won't be anything there. If you come back in 30 days or 60 days, or you forget in a year, it's just nothing. You know what I'm saying? You have to constantly. So the best thing is
to be roots in the soil. There has to be moisture in the soil, or else, the biology is just going to go into cyst and go to sleep.
Right, and maybe even die, not even come back. I don't know. It's hard to say. But you do want to have a regular source of the microbes, which is a small worm farm is all you really need. It will be providing for you a basis. You can take a little bit from that worm farm and put it into all your containers on a regular basis. Put a little bit in every container. Make sure it's stirred in so that it's part. You'll find if you did that on a regular basis, after a while, you'll find that everything will grow much. Vermicompost rocks. It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And you'll find that you actually get really good at taking care of the worms, and the worms will produce an amazing garden for you.
Yeah. We've actually had several vermicompost experts, or two vermicompost experts on with Leighton Morrison, over the last few weeks. But having your own worm farm and being able to access that, like I'm doing worm casting tea for my feeding, and all I do is I have a constant bubbler going, and not with an air stone, just air flowing in through the water constantly, and I just keep using it and then re-upping it, and it's so much better to have living, breathing biology, flowing through your system and into your plants on a regular basis. It's the way to go.
What I'm doing now for my place is I'm getting a beer aerator machine.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like the shape of a woman, and it causes a vortex and it bubbles, and so I'm going to start. Wormies are also wormies. I like wormies. And the better you get at, I was showing a friend of mine today. He's a professor, and I look at my worm farms. I don't see any worms. I moved it a little bit, and there were the worms. Even though they were getting so much rain, they're still surviving.
Yeah,
and the worms. And so I'm going to be moving over to my place because I'm going to start a little production factory going. I'm going to have the beer making machines, about 15 gallons. I take a gallon of worm juice, end up with 15 gallons of this amazing liquid. And I learned how to use the minerals to feed the microbes. So by the time they end up being used, they're highly mineralized, highly biologically active. And that's the key. And I'm going to be dumping it like crazy on my property. I already started doing it on the front and the back. Mushrooms are growing in the front. Mushrooms are growing in the back. The owner says, "You got mushrooms going. What the hell's going on here?" I said, "Relax. It's okay. Don't eat it." You know.
Yeah. Don't eat it. Don't eat it.
And that's what I'm doing at other people's property. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't only go there once a month. But I live here, and so
Yeah.
every day. Today, for example, right outside here, I got about 10 buckets, those 5-gallon buckets, right? I
Yeah.
let it rain overnight. It literally filled up the 5 gallons of those 5-gallon buckets. Literally filled it right up. So I have my warm tea that I'm pouring into each one of the buckets because this is nice,
Yeah.
clean, still water. Stirring it, bubble, aerating it, and it's going slowly but surely. It's going to go back out over the next few days, right back out into the garden. So when it rains,
Yeah.
it's all gone. It's not, and then it disappears. It dries. This way, I get to use the water more of that water. I already started.
Energized.
I started on the vegetables. They're really lively. The tomato plants are going nuts simply by giving them the biology that's highly mineralized. And I don't even really need to. You don't even need to fertilize it because that's the fertilizer.
Well, you're giving them the building blocks they need to build A, more biology, and B, the cells of the plant. It's a win-win.
That's exactly what the whole purpose is. So you don't even need fertilizers after a while if you learn how to feed the worms and how the worms produce this amazing liquid and how the amazing
outside in your that garden you have in behind you, that greenhouse, though, that's something you need to be constantly adding because you don't have the excessive amount of soil and you're not tied into the earth. You're in pots. So that's the caveat to that one.
Say that again. I missed it.
Inside of the greenhouse.
Is like caviar? Is that like fish eggs? Caviar? Did you say
caveat? In other words, this is the way, except under this circumstance, you need to look at it this way.
Yeah. So you were saying something about I missed the part of outside, inside.
Inside in the greenhouse, you're growing in pots. You're not connected to the overall soil system, right? Because you were saying, once your soil's so far advanced, you really don't need to keep doing it. But inside of the greenhouse, you do.
In the greenhouse, you do exactly right. If you leave it alone, eventually it will deteriorate and gone. And I also find out even outside too, under normal environments here, like outside of this garden, if I stopped putting the microbes in and the biology in, it's going to revert to whatever the natural state would be. And it's not necessarily what I want to have a garden because this is an area here that normally trees live here. So it's not like it could be the biology that can grow vegetables and stuff in unless I wanted to enhance the garden. Because a garden is not, a vegetable garden is not exactly what you find in the forest.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm trying to have a specific thing going on here. So that's why I have to, because if I stop, it'll go revert back to where it was. Weeds will grow like crazy. Other things will grow, but not my vegetables, not my fruit trees, not my flowers, not my roses. They won't like it here. You see, so that's what I'm trying to do is get it to do what I wanted to grow in this area here. This is probably the first time tomatoes have been growing here ever since it's been here. Nobody's grown tomatoes here or vegetables in this backyard here.
Well, and that's one of the clues that people need to understand is if you're growing tomatoes in the same basic row, the biology that the tomato needs is in that soil structure. So if you plant your tomatoes in the same spot next year, then a lot of the biology and the foundation is there already for that plant to, get more in tune with the terroir in your local environment.
Well, that might be true. That is true, except that there's a caveat to that too.
Yes.
And the caveat being that you normally don't plant the same, like for example, in the garden. It's not a good idea to plant tomatoes in the same area over and over and over again year after year. You want to plant them, rotate them in the garden where they're going to grow. And there are many reasons for that.
Yeah.
right? So same thing with all the different vegetables that you're growing. You don't want to grow the same thing in the same spot over and over again. You do want to rotate it so that different plants can come in there. And part of that is that if you're growing something that's taking it from the soil, you grow something else that's putting it back into the soil rather than so. But it doesn't really, in the long run, if you're really, really good, like what I ended up doing, I ended up saying to myself, well, the reason why you don't want to plant the same thing over and over again is mainly because the tomatoes are going to take what they need over and over again and they're not going to put it back. Same thing with diseases, with the tomato, right? Nutrition depletion, right? That's very, very possible. But if you rotate it, you have different nutrition comes and goes. Some plants produces nitrogen, other plants bring iron to it. So it's a nice blend to it. But my thing that I ended up doing, I ended up saying, the heck with it. I can grow whatever I want to in that same spot. I'm just going to make the soil so rich every time that so they can grow in there.
That's the key, actually.
That's the addition of compost, the addition of new biology. Keep going in there, keep pumping it to it, and anything will grow in any place in the garden. It's no longer important to really rotate them around.
And then it comes back to what I said earlier, having that biology existing. But, you look at, there's a field, I think it's in Montana, of blueberries. Now, blueberries loves an acidic soil that over decades has taken over and has expanded out. And this is a wild blueberry patch that is acres upon acres upon acres. It's never ran out of the nutrients in the soil that it needed because it's got sand, silt, clay, and it produces its own organic material that it drops in leaf every year to reinvigorate the soil. So if you want to do the tomatoes in this row this year, okay, you're going to do them in the next row the next year, take everything that you would compost out of that and compost it in that next row, because then you're adding the biology from the tomato plant into that next row in the compost.
Well, that's
just saying.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely great. My only thing I would say with that is that you have to be careful if they're healthy, no problem. If there's healthy, no disease is involved. If there's a disease, and you're also going to transmit the disease down the road. So you have to. So if it's basically disease, you want to stop that process and actually compost your soil, run it through your compost system, get rid of the disease. A lot of times what you actually do is blend some new compost in with your soil. That will get rid of the disease as well. So, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to pass on the disease, but if you are, again, bringing in new compost, amending the soil on a regular basis, and in the greenhouse is even more so. That's why people have a wide variety of aphids and whitefly problems and stuff, because there's no biology in the soil, or not as good. It could be beefed up some more. There are lots of stress, lots of conditions that make it difficult so you have to make sure that all the proper nutrients are there and in the right proportions as well. So sometimes
trace minerals.
Sometimes you screw up with that, and all of a sudden you have a trace mineral deficiency. So usually, the way it always works is that if you ever have a pest or a disease, you have you have an issue with your nutrition. You have an issue with trace minerals. And you have to say, well, what am I doing different? Sometimes it's just a simple thing as planting something different, like a different genetic, different type of tomato. So the genetics a lot of times play a big role in what nutrients they can absorb or what they can't absorb. So the genetics sometimes will require a certain pH to be right for that to make that happen.
Well, like the blueberries has to have that
exactly right
acidic soil.
Exactly right. So if that pH is there and they happen to be doing everything the right way, then it's self-sufficient. That's what you want.
Well, Mother Nature had it right, Andy. She grows a plant, lets the seeds fall, and then that plant grows there the next year.
Yeah, exactly right. And so there are lots of things we can learn from Mother Nature and make it work for us. And that's what we want to do in the long run. And a greenhouse for me, it's going to be essentially important as climate change gets harder and harder. So when you're out there at 1,000-degree temperature, you better have a greenhouse to grow indoors.
I don't know. And I think I'd want my greenhouse probably about 400 or 500 feet underground to stay cool from that 1,000-degree temperature.
Well, interesting enough, the if I had my choice, I would live in a mountain.
Yeah.
Literally live in a mountain. I would
Yeah.
find a mountain. A friend of mine has a mountain, and the reason why he started because he had a little drip of water, fresh water in the mountain to indicate. So he started digging in there. He made a room for it. Dug another room out, another room this way, a
Cool.
ceiling so you can see the light, and the temperature could be 98 degrees outside. It's a cool 70 something indoors year round, and he has mirrors that take the light and channel them into the house, you know, and this running
like that's
water,
what the Egyptians did.
there's running water in there. Well, you know what I didn't do right? I didn't look at the comments. Oh my God, look at all the comments. Wow. You guys are having a little party. Silly's going nuts with all these people. She's corralling them. Oh my goodness, Silly.
Now, we had a statement from Perpetual I wanted to bring up. Tomato plants will always get Phytophthora.
Phytophthora.
Okay, infestation. Get rid of them. Do not compost. Do you agree with that, Andy?
Okay, well, see, here's the thing. So it has to do with pH. And remember that certain environments have to be, certain conditions have to be there. And the Phytophthora is a very particular one that it's very easy, it very rapidly grows. People usually get Phytophthora if they're non-organic, chemically based. So I don't know if this person here, what's the name of the person that did the?
It's Perpetual. Yeah.
Well, are you organic, Perpetual? You can tell us if you want to. You can email me and say, no, I'm not organic.
Well, I think he worked in a large greenhouse facility. I'm not sure if he still does, but I believe that.
If they're not organic, that's what's going to happen because you need to have a certain type of biology there to stop it from happening.
He says both.
And you can't really do both. You can't do both. You can't say I'm organic and I use chemicals, but basically you're a chemical. If you're organic, then you're organic. If you're not 100% organic, then yes, you're going to have, let's say you're 99% organic. That 1% is going to get you every time. And Phytophthora is a bacterial disease, but the bacteria needs certain conditions. And one of the main conditions it needs is certain trace minerals are missing. Simple as that. Certain trace minerals are missing. And
that's where your refractometer would come in handy, because then they could see the complex sugars in how healthy the plant is.
Through the tomato plant, exactly. So in the tomato, it's perfect for that because you also measure, what you do is you do the tomato plants stuff rather than the tomato. That gives you an indicator of what's going on with the plant. So when you in a tomato, it should be at least 12, 14, 16, 18. The higher the Brix rating, the less you're going to get that Phytophthora. And the Phytophthora basically, it goes back down to it's a soil disease. pH is wrong. Usually people are not using filtered water, for example. The city water will cause this problem more than anything else because it also inhibits, and also too, like I would ask the person more information. Okay, so what are you feeding your plants? If you're using anything with high nitrogen, it's no good. Well, I grow in pots, but I can't feed fully organic living soil. I'm not sure if I understand why.
Actually, he says it kills organic grows, tomatoes and potatoes as they don't spray. Actually, I've been organic all my life. I've never had a problem with anything like that. So I think a lot of it has to do with the health of the soil and the biology and the plants themselves.
Right.
If they're going to get any type of disease.
And the chemicals are bad. You use this, the little bit of chemical. Usually what happens, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's some type of high nitrogen urea-based fertilizer. Not ammonia-based, but urea-based fertilizer causes this problem. And there are certain bacteria that their job is to protect from these type of diseases. And if they're not there, those diseases will go rampant because nothing's stopping them. And you can't use both. My experience has been every time you dig into a little more. Well, tell me exactly what you're fertilizing. I would love to know what type of fertilizer you're going to see that it's urea-based fertilizer. And the urea-based fertilizer causes, as I explained it before, high nitrogen fertilizer inhibits, yes, man, not urine. Urine is different. See, feeding urine is different than urea. Urea, urea. Urine is what comes out of animals. Urea was named after urine because it has a nitrogen. They figure it's the same thing. It's not. Urea 6400. High nitrogen fertilizers inhibit the absorption of trace minerals, specifically the exotic trace minerals. They never get those. So the plant goes into a stress mode, and as soon as it goes into stress mode, it reduces the ability to fight off the disease because this disease has to have these conditions in the soil. So that means that the biology is not there in the soil to protect it from this disease. And what it
in
means,
the soil or the plant.
It also means that the variety of the tomatoes they're growing are not genetically grown organic properly. If you were getting genetically heirloom organic tomatoes, you're not going to get this problem over and over again. That means that genetically they do not handle high nitrogen fertilizer. They don't use high nitrogen in the organic industry. The highest you maybe get is a 6, not 64. See what I mean? And so that's a big problem there. You have to relate that. Why do I have, and phytophthora, not just in tomatoes, and a variety of other plants, which all have the same problem. They're not being totally 100% organically grown. If you talk to any farmer, organic farmer, do you have a problem with phytophthora? He'll say, hell no. The next door neighbor has it, and it's chemicals. So yeah, it's a chemical problem, and I think it's not really the soil's problem. Is the owner's problem, the person's problem. It's like he's hooked on using that chemical because he thinks it makes the tomatoes grow better, right? So and he's probably think the owner, of the places. So it's cheaper to get all this stuff because this fertilizer doesn't cost anything, whereas organic costs a lot more. Something where somewhere on those lines, because usually the chemical stuff is like incredibly cheap. So so it's a money situation that it does that. And organic is not necessarily cost more; it's your knowledge.
Yeah.
Well,
I know, I had Josh on from BioAg, and they sell biostimulants, which actually helps stimulate the biology by giving things the building blocks. And he was talking on some stuff where they're cutting back the amount of fertilizers that they have to use because they're stimulating everything up front with the products that they're using.
But they're still using a chemical fertilizer. It doesn't make any difference the amount of chemical fertilizer you use. If you're 99% organic and 1% chemical, think of it as the tip of the spear. You may have the most powerful spear in the world, but that tip, if it's weak, it'll ruin the whole spear. And that's exactly what happens. People have to be committed to be 100% organic. 100%, that means no chemical fertilizer whatsoever, no urea-based whatsoever, no pesticides, no fertilizer, none of that stuff. And so it's really a drug that the person is using, giving excuses. Well, it's cheaper. I would not be able to be in business. No, you can compete in business, but you just have to learn by cooking. You just have to learn. Biology is cheap.
Yeah.
The biology is cheap. You don't have to pay arm and leg for biology. So if you get key into the biology first, let the biology feed everything. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to come up with a small amount of things to feed the biology.
Perpetual's from Europe, and he wanted to point out 2 years ago it killed 80% of the commercial organic potato harvest in Holland. But it's just, and he's saying that it seems that it's more proliferant there than in the USA. It's because they've been using those soils and hurting, killing the biology in those soils for decades and decades. And they're organic. When people say organic here, we know that there's organic chemicals and pesticides and fertilizers that aren't truly organic. They're just certified organic. That's what happened there. It had nothing I'm not going to get into it.
Also too, it's just because you're organic doesn't mean you're recycling the soil properly.
Yeah.
So more than likely, what happens is they grow organically. That means they don't use any chemical fertilizers or pesticides, but they're not. Are you making compost? Are they making compost? Are we amending the soil? I bet you not. They're just planting, harvest, planting, and harvest. Soil is good. That's their definition of organic. So what happens is, you get a major depletion in the biology. The biology disappears.
And in organic material and everything that takes their life to really be there.
If they were really doing it right, what I would do, since they have 10 acres, I would say, okay, 2 or 3 acres I lay fallow. I mean, so I'm going to just let the biology take over, and I'm going to rotate what I grow and what becomes fallow. But if you just grow, and don't put anything back in again, it won't be long before there's nothing there that they can take out of it. And that's what happens when the phytophthora or any other type of disease go rampant. And on top of that, they're using what's in their water.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And what are they spraying on those crops that is killing the biology that's supposed to be there to protect it? If you have a healthy plant, you don't have those problems.
And if it's organic, what are they spraying? Because they can't say I'm organic, but I spray a little of this, right? So I'm organic, but I spray malathion. It's like, okay, yeah, right. So, and I know a lot of chemical companies say we're organic, but we also are using this or that chemical, or this chemical. So and that's what happens. So whenever azomite is a very good. Well, one of the things I like about azomite is excellent all around the trace minerals with the rocks. Azomite is deficient in calcium. 2% calcium. 2% calcium.
Okay.
So you need to supplement that. You need to complement it. Complement is the best word. Another rock dust that's higher in calcium. So I use azomite. No, I use the agramine. Azomite comes from Colorado. Agramine comes from here in California. Agramine is 30% calcium. Put the two together, bada bing, bada boom. That's why you want to get a couple different sources of rock dust, not just one. So you get one, azomite is good. So get colloidal rock phosphate, or get glacial rock dust phosphate, or even go to remineralization.org. It's a cool organization. They have resources. Look at all the different sources of rock dust in your state. Or maybe ideal stuff is to buy stuff locally. You don't have to pay for it. Try to get a couple of different varieties. And that's why I also mentioned really fast C90, SEA 90 trace minerals. It's basically a salt. So you try to get a couple of different other blends. Don't just go with one thing because you're going to be deficient and you're going to be having a problem down the road.
Yeah. A good base of everything that you can possibly get is going to be better because you're giving the availability to the biology to build biology that may not even be in the system because there was something missing that they couldn't actually exist in your system. It's like, you can never have genetic potential in your plant if you don't have all the building blocks that give the plant the option to have genetic potential.
Normally, the building blocks should be there if you allow Mother Nature to do her thing.
Yeah.
So right now we're interfering with the way that happens. So she's not able to recycle totally the way she recycles the minerals. So it's up to us to supplement that with. This way, that the biology has all the trace minerals they need, and you got the good biology. That's why a good worm farm is very easy to do. And you don't want to feed them rock dust; they'll die if you just give them rock dust. That's very often. So you want to learn how to give them. That's what compost is. You add into your compost. You make the compost, and then use the compost, and you feed them the worms, the liquid. You put the compost into the ground. You spray it with your liquid. And you find the two when they get together. It's amazing, and you don't have to worry. Have to worry about what trace minerals. They're all there.
Yeah. Now I have a question, Andy. Do you know anybody in Europe that has an alternative for C90 because like it's really hard for them to get C90 in Europe. Do you know anybody over there that has a comparable product?
What I would do is just look up trace minerals, local sources of trace minerals. You'll find in Europe there's lots and lots of really cool different types of rock dust you can get just from that area, which I have without having to ship across the world because they do cost a lot. Just say, Sirius, what are my local sources of trace of rock dust in this area? And then let do a search. You'll find that tons and tons. I can get them easy. Just do the internet search. You'll find lots of them. But man, you're going to pay $100 to get 20 pounds shipped to you.
Yeah.
So you don't want. So if you live there, that's another story. Like in Canada, you can say, I live in Canada. Show me the local sources of rock dust here, and you'll find those. That's why remineralize.org. I would go there because you look up your country. I just saw that. You look up your country, and it tells you what sources are there. Cool. Remineralize.org. It's time to go. I know.
Yep. Guys, that's it. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you on this show next Wednesday. We'll be doing another R&D here in the next few days. Then, of course, the OGs and the Soil Matters this coming Monday. We'll see what happens on Monday. You never know what's going to happen, guys. Love y'all.
He's going to be as a guest on my show. I'll let you guys know we're doing a live stream.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that soon. So we'll let you know on a date next Wednesday. We'll let you know the date where I'm going to go and do an interview on Andy's channel where he's going to be the host and I'm going to be the interviewee. Should be interesting.
Sir. Yes, sir. Then you'll see what it's like.
Yeah. All right, peace out, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Peace out, man. Bye now.